Early beginnings and rise as an activist. Omoyele Sowore's engagement with the Nigerian state began long before the modern era of social media. As a young student at the University of Lagos in the late 1980s and early 1990s, Sowore emerged as a powerful critic of military and authoritarian rule. In 1989, he participated in demonstrations against the conditions attached to an International Monetary Fund loan, and by 1992, he led more than 5,000 students in protest against government policies. These early confrontations with the authorities were met with violent repression. Police opened fire on demonstrators, resulting in multiple deaths, and Sowore himself was arrested and subjected to abusive treatment. His activism continued through the struggle to end military rule following the controversial annulment of the June 12, 1993 election, resulting in repeated arrests and detentions by authorities resisting democratic change. Beyond student activism, Sowore established himself as a journalist and publisher. He founded Sahara Reporters, an online news agency committed to exposing corruption, human rights abuses, and abuses of power across Nigeria. His fearless reporting attracted both acclaim and the ire of successive governments. The defining protest movement. In 2019, Sowore gained global attention as the convener of the #revolutionnow movement, a nationwide mobilization aimed at demanding fundamental political and economic reforms in Nigeria. The movement called for an economy that worked for the masses, an end to systemic corruption, improved security, implementation of minimum wage reforms, and universal access to quality education. To push these demands, Sowore and allied civil society organizations planned mass street protests across the country beginning in August 2019. On August 3, 2019, Nigeria's Department of State Services, DSS, carried out a dramatic early morning raid on Sowore's Lagos residence and hotel room. Armed operatives arrested him ahead of the scheduled protests, transporting him to detention without a formal public explanation. This arrest sparked widespread domestic and international outcry, with critics condemning it as an assault on free speech and peaceful assembly. The DSS then obtained a court order to detain Sowore for 45 days under anti-terrorism law provisions, a move his lawyers challenged. The federal high court ordered his eventual release, but Sowore remained in detention while the government filed treasonable felony and other charges related to his organization of the #revolutionnow protests. Sowore's legal battle against the government evolved into one of Nigeria's most closely watched human rights and justice cases. Legal challenges to detention. After his August 2019 arrest, Sowore's legal team challenged both the legality of his detention and the charges brought against him. Despite multiple court orders mandating his release or bail, the DSS frequently resisted compliance, prolonging his custody. Judicial vindications. In later proceedings, courts struck out certain treasonable felony charges, ordering elements of his release and the return of his seized property. These rulings were viewed as partial legal victories and affirmed the independence of the judiciary in upholding constitutional rights. Sowore did not retreat from activism after the #revolutionnow episodes. In 2025, he became a central figure in #FreeNamdiKanuNow protests, a campaign calling for the release of indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, leader Nnamdi Kanu, who was detained and standing trial for alleged terrorism offenses. Sowore's leadership in these protests brought him back into direct conflict with the Nigerian state. When he led demonstrators in Abuja on October 20, 2025, authorities had already obtained a court order restricting protests in sensitive areas of the Federal Capital Territory. Despite this, protesters entered restricted zones, and security operatives responded with forceful arrests. On October 23, 2025, armed police officers arrested Sowore inside the Federal High Court premises shortly after he had appeared in solidarity with the detained protesters. Authorities claimed his arrest was justified because multiple arrested protesters identified him as their leader and alleged that he breached the court order by guiding them into restricted areas. After being arraigned alongside other defendants, Sowore was granted bail by a magistrate court in Kyuj, Abuja, with conditions including cash bail and sureties. However, as bail formalities were being perfected, police operatives unexpectedly rearrested him, dragging him away and prompting sharp condemnation from lawyers, civil society organizations, and international human rights groups. Observers saw this as further suppression of the constitutional right to peaceful protest and due process. Amnesty International publicly condemned the actions of the Nigerian government, describing Sowore's arrest and continued detentions as part of a pattern of state efforts to silence dissenting voices. The organization urged immediate and unconditional release of Sowore and others detained for exercising their rights to free assembly and expression. Omoyele Sowore's journey captures the complex and often contentious relationship between civil society and the Nigerian state. He has been arrested numerous times across different administrations, from military regimes through democratic governments, and has consistently used peaceful protest and media platforms to call attention to governance failures and human rights abuses. His legal confrontations with the state, marked by court orders, partial victories, and repeated resistance by security agencies, demonstrate both the resilience of Nigeria's rule of law institutions and the persistent challenges activists face when confronting entrenched state power. By blending fearless reporting with mass mobilization, Sowore has become a symbol of resistance in modern Nigeria, a figure whose struggles encapsulate broader debates over democracy, accountability, and the space for dissent in the country. Thank you for watching. To access more of our documentaries on activities and political figures around the world, ensure to click on the like and subscribe button. You can also share your thought in comment section. Thank you.